This is a 2008 Kia Sedona, and what we're doing today is we're removing this. Some people call it the plenum, some people call it the air intake manifold. The reason for doing that is, well, there's 3 spark plugs up front that are easy to get to, but the other 3 are way in the back. They're way back here, and there's no way to get to them and change them without removing this. So this video is called 7 Steps to Removing the Plenum. Step number 1 is to remove the hose, the air hose that goes between the box here and the throttle body. So there are 2 clamps to loosen up, plus over here on this side there is another clamp to loosen up, slide down, and then wiggle off. Step number two I'm calling front top rail. And so I'm removing these 4 10mm bolts, and then I'm going to remove this one and this one, which just gives a little bit more wiggle room for what you're trying to do later. So step number 2 is complete. You can take this rail and flop it over to the side. Step 3 is what I'm calling left side accessories. So there are 2 bolts here that we're taking out, and then up here there's 1 bolt. It's coming out, and then this sensor that's beside this, close to the round thing, that has to be unclipped. Okay, step 3 is done. This clip that we talked about, it releases on the left side. You press that in until you hear a click, and then it pulls out. Pretty easy. Step 4, I'm calling right side accessories. So there's 1 bolt that needs to come out. There's 1 sensor that comes out by pressing down and then pulling back. And then there are 2 hoses. There's this hose you can see, and there's another hose directly underneath this sensor. Okay, step 5 is removing the throttle body. So it had 2 nuts and 1 bolt, and it just slides forward. Also, I'm including in this step, hopefully we can get back here and see it. Well, maybe not. There it is. Right here there's a hose. It's not on the throttle body. It's right behind it. But that hose needs to come off. So I'm including that on step 5. Step 6, I'm calling front main support. So it has 6 fasteners. It has the center bolt, which is 10mm. It has a nut on each side. Well, you'll see it easy enough. It's right down there where it's dark. And then it's got 3 along the front. See? There's 1, there's 2, there's 3. So the thing about those 3 along the front is you can't quite get to them. There's a pipe that's just kind of in your way, and it's secured by 2 10mm bolts. If you loosen those 2 bolts up, don't take them out, just loosen them up. That will give you enough wiggle room to get your socket onto the 12mm bolts for the plenum that you need to get out. Step number 7, I'm calling back support. The first thing I did is way back here, there is something, it's a metal tubing. It's attached, supported by the plenum. I think it's something to do with power steering. It's supported by 2 10mm bolts. So I used just a deep socket 10 millimeter and removed those. Second thing is over here behind that hose that you removed behind the throttle body, back in there, and heading in that way is a 12 millimeter bolt. And so to remove that 12 millimeter bolt, which you can't see, you can only feel, I used that setup there, a short extender and a short 12. On this side, back just behind this round thing, and then up a little bit, inside and up a little bit, there's a 14 millimeter bolt. And it's facing, driving into the plenum. And so that's where it is. My pointer finger is in that spot right now. And so to get that bolt out from the side over here, I used just a 3/8 with a 14 on it. So the hard part is just knowing where it is. So at this point, the plenum is free, except that there's one hose, but there's enough room to swing it way over to the side and put it out of your way for doing the spark plugs. So as I've been doing this, I put everything in order. So there's step number 2 and step number 3 and the hardware that goes with it. Step 4, talking about hoses and sensors and whatever else was done. Step 6 and step 7. So there wasn't a hose still attached. The hose I thought was attached was this, but it's part of the power steering. So that was everything. When you put it back together, this is the bracket that holds it. And it also threads through this support to support a couple of sensors. So that's something you have to consider. And then on this side, that's the support that the 12 millimeter bolt threads into. When I took the thing off, first thing I did was cover the holes that are going into the engine. I don't want anything to fall into there. So this is going to give me the room that I need to do the spark plugs. The spark plugs on the back don't have a jacket. They have this little clip that pushes out. You push it out and then you wiggle and pry gently and take them off. But that's it. I thought it might help out someone in where to find like the bolt and what all you have to take off and how to approach it. So, okie doke, guys.